everyone. Welcome back to Strawberry Podfics. This is Hysterical by Spark the Fangirl. Chapter 14, Confession. Summary. Secrets are said, believability is questioned. Although the issue of resetting was solved by Hatsume's accidental murder of Midoriya, it also caused the issue of destroying both the shirt he had been wearing, which was admittedly already unusable due to the unreasonable amount of wine and blood staining it, and the spare he had been carrying. So it was that Midoriya walked back to class late for the third time that day in a light pink blouse Hatsume had lent him. He also walked in the moment the bell rang to leave. This is because he and Hatsume had gotten to talking, and their conversation had lasted well over an hour, and had ranged from immortality, explosions, overthrowing the government, shirts, and a contractual agreement between the parties that ensured secrecy about the events that had transpired that day. Rather than leaving, the rest of the class stared at Midoriya. "I admire your confidence, monsieur," Aizawa said, breaking the silence. "What?" "Gold glitter and pastel pink. Truly, your style is daunting." "Oh, thanks." Aizawa sighed. In case you haven't realized yet, he sighs quite a bit. This is probably Midoriya's fault, as most things are. Class is dismissed. Midoriya spun 360 on his foot, 360 degrees on his foot, and made for the door. Taking care to avoid Aizawa's eyes, it was not effective. "Not you," Aizawa growled as he strode across the classroom in 2 steps and grabbed the back of Midoriya's borrowed blouse by the collar. Midoriya yelped and slowly turned his head until he was looking into Aizawa's eyes. They were glowing red. The rest of the class parted around the two, trying to get as far away from Aizawa's wrath as possible. Soon the class was empty aside from them. "How can I help you, sir?" Aizawa smiled in what was perhaps the most unnerving way possible. "You and I need to have a little talk." Midoriya gulped. No more than 5 minutes later, the two of them were seated with only a table separating them. Aizawa stared. Midoriya squirmed. After Aizawa decided that Midoriya had been sufficiently prepared for the verbal beratement he had prepared, he spoke. So Nezu tells me you had quite the day." Midoriya narrowed his eyes. "What do you know?" Aizawa gave away nothing, but did begin to wonder if he knew the full story. "How about you tell me about how, rather than obeying the alarm, you decided to convince Bakugo to go chase after a mysterious villain with you?" "Believe me, he needed no convincing. Regardless, you completely disregarded the rules." Aizawa watched as Midoriya's eyes began to glaze over at the mention of rules, his natural instinct being to tune out the familiar speech. "You not only put yourself in harm's way, but your friend as well. Kachan was fine. Besides, he can take care of himself." "But what about you?" Aizawa's voice took on a far more serious quality. "Midoriya, I've had students like you before. I'm familiar with the self-sacrificial quality you children have." This is true. It seemed that one of the qualifying factors for UA students was to have a bit of a death wish. However, Aizawa was not aware of the fact he had never had a student quite like Midoriya. This is because Midoriya was not only semi-suicidal from an outsider's perspective, but he was also immortal, and as such, allowed such liberties such as death. "Sir, I'm fine." "You got lucky," Aizawa argued. "You easily could have been hurt." "Can't feel pain," Midoriya reminded him. "Seriously injured yourself?" Aizawa tried it again. "Can heal myself." He started once more, growing desperate as a reaction to Midoriya's nonchalant answers. "You could have been killed." "Can't die." There was a second of silence, as both parties struggled to internalize Midoriya's latest rebuttal. "What?" I can't fly, because that's not my quirk. My quirk is being super strong, and it actually has nothing to do with flying or being immortal." Aizawa looked at Midoriya. "Child, do you think I'm stupid?" "No." Aizawa stared. "Just tell me what you mean that you can't die." "Yeah, okay, I should probably tell you anyway before you find out yourself." He took a deep breath. "So, my quirk is actually really super overpowered for some reason, and part of that is that I can't die." "What?" "Surprise!" "No." Aizawa put his palms on the table. "I don't care how lucky you've been so far, you can still die." "Actually, I can't. Believe me, I've tried." Aizawa's head slid onto the table's counter. "Shit," he muttered. "The stupid kid thinks he's immortal." "I am! Look out!" Midoriya made to stand, but then stopped. "Whoops, I forgot all my made me promise not to show people anymore." "Did he now?" "Yeah, he said it was too traumatic. Guess you'll just have to take my word for it." Aizawa looked at Midoriya's wide smile with far more fear than he had shown to any villain. His heart sank as he realized it was quite literally his job to make sure this kid didn't get himself killed. I'm screwed. Hisashi was grading papers at his desk when Aizawa barged in rather loudly. He didn't mind too much. In fact, it would be entirely hypocritical for him to complain about people making too much noise. However, this volume was not typical of his friend, and as such, he found himself worried. Shota? He asked hesitantly. I'm going to die, Aizawa slid pathetically to the floor. Hisashi leaned back in his chair and looked down, twirling his pen. Not without paying me back for that coffee, you aren't. No, seriously. Aizawa shifted, so he was looking at Hisashi. This kid, he's going to kill me. Another problem child? He's not just a problem child, Yamada. He's a full-on natural disaster. What did he do? Hisashi asked, intrigued. He ignored an alarm to go chase a villain through a suspicious portal in which he ended up fighting said villain in a bar and then faking his death, and then he came back and gave the already terrifying class president an urn as if Senor Kanehito didn't need more ways to dispose of bodies, and left for an hour, only to come back having replaced his bloody shirt with a pink blouse covered in glitter. Oh geez, and I thought the swearing bomb child was going to be the issue this year. Well, that's not too bad, Hisashi said, trying to console him. At least he's not hurt, right? Aizawa laughed maniacally, causing Hisashi to slowly lean further back in his seat. Oh, I didn't even get to the best part. What? Hisashi doubted. He actually wanted an answer. This damn kid thinks he's immortal. Well, you always get that type when you want to teach hero wannabes. There's a reason Recovery Girls paid so well, Hisashi yelped as Aizawa stood up and leaned over him, eyes wide and crazed. You don't understand. He put his hands on the armrests of Hisashi's seat, causing him to sink lower in an attempt to get away from Aizawa, who was acting far more insane than typical. This kid literally does not think he can die. Oh, he thought for a moment, letting this thought sink in. Oh shit, he said in a hush. Yeah! What are you going to do? Aizawa backed off and looked into the distance. I have no clue. And that is the end of this chapter. I will see you guys next time. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. I already said that. Bye!